Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, hey. I'm too sexy for my shirt. Too sexy for my shirt. So sexy it hurts. I'm too sexy for Milan. Too sexy for Milan, New York and Japan. Too sexy for Japan. New York and Birmingham. And I'm too sexy for your party. Too sexy for your party. The way I'm disco dancing. I'm a model, you know what I mean. And I do my little turn on the catwalk. Yeah, on the catwalk.
Born in 1950, Princess Anne is the only daughter of Queen Elizabeth II and the Duke of Edinburgh.
She was a very determined person. She was not going to get beaten by a situation or by somebody, and if somebody could do something, she could do it too.
To many, the princess who symbolises the best of the royal family.
I think a lot of people in this country think that Anne would actually make a great queen.
She'd have made a formidable monarch, without a doubt, because it is duty before self, and Anne is the personification of that.
Princess Anne was the son that Prince Philip never had.
Now, you've just come from a meeting, I understand, of the British Olympic Association.
People talked about the fact that I might have been selected, but it was very much might have been selected.
3-day eventing is the toughest possible game you could have picked.
Well, no, there are two different ways of looking at it. If you do it, you regard it as a sort of ultimate test of horsemanship. If I had a horse that was good enough to compete at international level, I think I'd be pushed to put in the time now.
Surely there must be somebody that would be prepared to give you a horse that's good enough, Princess Anne. Of all people, you shouldn't be lacking a good enough horse.
Well, it just takes a little time to find these things, you know. So.
Of course. You missed a couple of royal occasions. I mean, you missed your mother's, the Queen's coronation, did you? They wouldn't let you go to that.
They wouldn't let me go, yes. Missed it. I was sort of tied to the rocking horse and all.
Did you know what was going on?
I shouldn't think so for a moment.
Unfortunately, no one adjusted the podium. So instead of the head of state, the world's press and television see only the hat of state.
Mr. President, it is 15 years since our last visit to Washington. I do hope you can see me today from where you are.
Were you nervous? Were you nervous about going to public school?
No, I think I did actually rather quite look forward to it in many ways.
And how did they treat you? Was there any bullying done? I imagine there wasn't really, knowing you. Or at least it is said you could have gone on to university, but unlike your brothers, you didn't choose to do so, at least two of your brothers. Why not?
No, I didn't. And I rather hoped to be able to go abroad with her as well. And I just felt that was possibly more constructive from my point of view and more interesting than it would have been going to university. You know, I would see a lot more than...
It was the free trips.
In the wind, Princess Anne's charming hat was to prove something of an embarrassment. Reports say that Princess Anne, troubled by her hat, made some unguarded comments about the blustering wind.
There was a drama because the princess was overheard to say, "This bloody wind." And it felt to be quite shocking in those days. One or two of the press said she referred to this blustery wind.
Well, she's got this thing training behind her,
yes.
Which catches the wind.
And her mother was a great role model, and in some ways it's a shame that Anne wasn't born first, but even if she had have been first, the rules back then, the law of primogeniture back then, meant that any boy, any son born to a monarch would always take precedence over his sister. And both of them have a really strong work ethic.
I name the ship Britannia. I wish success to her and to all who sail in her.
There are Majesty releases the traditional bottle, not of champagne this time, but of Empire wine.
May God bless her and all who sail in her.
The summer goes on. I think that it has an atmosphere of its. You can go out for miles and never see anybody, and you can walk or ride, and it's endless possibilities.
And grandmother.
I've offered to try and do some homeschooling. Haven't seen hide nor hair of them at that suggestion.
In the three-day event, the European Championships, and she won. That was absolutely fantastic.
Even at 9 years old or 10 years old, you know, when she appeared, she had great presence. She never pushed herself forward, but she just, you know, you knew she was there, sort of thing.
Which section of the three-day event do you enjoy best?
The end.
Zara Phillips was a gold medalist with the British eventing team and was, for 4 years, world champion. In 2012, she won silver at the London Olympics. Her mother presented the award.
To be given your medal by your mother is pretty special. You can't really ever explain that feeling. She very much, you know, knows what it takes to achieve and to win. Having the whole family come and watch was incredible as well.
All the cousins were there, weren't they? It was a really special day, special family day for...
Princess Anne's incredible work ethic was evident from a young age. In 1968, aged just 18, she became a working royal.
I think she's always had a sense of commitment from a very early stage in her life, and after school she decided that rather than go to university, she wanted to start working and becoming a full-time working royal, and that's exactly what she did.
As well as her royal duties, Princess Anne is involved with countless charities, organisations and military regiments in the UK and overseas.
It's not just the public engagements. She is involved in a huge amount of charities, some 300 charities, some of which she's founded herself. She writes her own speeches. She has a very small staff.
Charities supporting the armed forces or veterans, that's a major issue for her. Carers Trust, which actually she established. Animal welfare charities, equine charities.
One charity that has always been close to Anne's heart is Save the Children.
If you want to improve the lot of children, then you must improve the lot of their mothers.
With the Save the Children Fund, she's been president for, I think, nearly 50 years now.
When Princess Anne carried out those early trips to Africa with Save the Children in the early 70s, this was her really breaking the mould. This was her going far afield. You know, she was doing these visits to Africa with Save the Children long before Princess Diana was even on the scene.
But Anne made it clear that she didn't seek praise from the public or the press.
She once told a friend who had been asking her about the kind of affection that Diana had from the public, the love, the adoration that Diana had, if she would want that. And she said, no, she would rather have respect than affection from people that she didn't know.
And I think people began to appreciate that we had a very hard-working princess there who would travel the world and not stand on airs and graces.
One of Anne's greatest successes in terms of British sporting history was bringing the Olympic Games to London in 2012. She went to pretty much every event she possibly could during the 2012 Olympic Games in London and around the UK, and really was the figurehead.
The Queen's only daughter, Princess Anne, has gained a reputation as one of the most tireless members of the royal family. With close links to over 300 charities, organisations and military groups, every year she takes part in hundreds of engagements.
On this occasion, I'm marginally better organised than usual. I just left my voice behind.
To many, Anne has all the qualities needed to have been a great queen.
When you think of Princess Anne, I think people do think of someone who's incredibly hardworking, who's very committed, and a woman who, frankly, had she ever become queen, I think most people are quite unanimous that they think she would have been incredibly good at the job.
She has all the qualities, the main one being the sense of duty. The one thing that makes the Queen stand out is her enduring sense of duty to the people of this country. And I think Anne absolutely has that.
The princess was desperate to serve. This was an opportunity to prove herself. She convinced the king to let her join the army, driving and fixing ambulances.
She was of her generation, which was a wartime generation.
She joined the Auxiliary Territorial Service, became a remarkably good driver.
For all her faults, is still going strong.
She really is kind of the unsung hero, I think, of the royal family. She just gets on with it, opening factories, visiting supermarkets, supporting charities.
She loves driving the tanks and firing the guns.
Daughter.
Good morning. At Windsor.
Duty, and much more besides. Evenings filled with charity dinners and speeches.
She is the busiest member of the royal family, regularly carrying out over 500 engagements a year.
Well, away days, each of those will probably be different, and different reasons for going. Many of them are voluntary organisations, and if you can do anything to raise their profile, then you will have achieved something. You are reflecting Her Majesty's position, but most of the time you are, I think, in my case, just trying to cover the the bits of the country that most other people won't get to.
I do remember a day the princess must have met 1,000 people on 4 or 5 engagements, and I remember thinking, I'm absolutely wrecked at the end of the day.
The princess is scheduled to land at Kensington Palace helipad at just after 4 o'clock. A cup of tea, change of clothes, and then she'll be off to a charity dinner.
She does start early and then doesn't really finish until 9 o'clock at night, maybe if it's after a dinner, quite a lot later.
Good morning. I'm very glad to have been able to join you.
Can you see everybody? You should have 6 people on your screen.
Yes, well, I can see 4 anyway.
Okay, fair enough. Actually, you don't need me. You know what I look like.
It is. I have moved the furniture.
Yes.
And I have lit the fire so that it looks quite sort of friendly-like. But he's amazed by the size of everything. That's what amused me.
Well, the rooms.
Yes, and he goes around. These only 2 English words are quite interesting words. And he goes around looking at everything.
Good heavens, you could manage.
Well, it's further than that. But here's my mother. And here's my daughter Anne.
Very nice to meet you. Continuity. I find that's one of the sad things, that people don't take on jobs for life. They try different things all the time. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you'll know exactly what you're going to be doing 2 months hence, or even beginning to know about next year. And I think that this is what the younger members find difficult, is the regimented side of it.
I have been touched by the warmth of the appreciation that all these many friends and colleagues feel for your energy and dedication.